Welcome to Speak with Anuj. Thank you for tuning in. This episode is special. It features somebody that I truly respect and admire and have worked with closely over the last many years. Mona Shetty, one of India's most respected names in the world of voice. If you've tuned into a television commercial or a radio commercial, or heard one of your favorite actresses speak beautifully in a blockbuster Indian film, or watched dubbed versions of Hollywood films, chances are you've heard Mona's voice. And she's not just a voice artist, she has trained a plethora of artists, she has directed numerous projects and dubbed projects, and is somebody who has shaped the way India experiences voice. She heads Sound and Vision India, which is one of India's top studios for voiceovers and dubbings. And she's here on Speak with Anuj to share her insights and her journey and share with us the magic behind the mic, the magic of voice. Let's tune in, let's dive in and learn how to communicate better. Thank you, Mona. Thank you so much for coming on to Speak with Anuj. It's been a while since we had a conversation, and I'm so looking forward to what we're going to talk about. Before I, in fact, get started with what I want to ask you first, you know, many years ago, so your brother, my friend Sandeep Sinha, we've worked together for many years, and when I asked him in Hyderabad ki, I want to do some voice work, anyone that you might know, that I could speak with in Bombay. He asked me to speak with Leela ji, your mother, bless her soul, and she so kindly invited me over to the studio. मैं वहाँ गया, उनसे मिला, काफी अच्छी बातें हुई, and I was literally like a novice, like बिल्कुल थोड़ा सा काम किया हुआ था, but I came to her and she was so kind and so gracious and heard me out, gave me the time of day, gave me the attention, and just asked me to go and meet you at Abhishek Apartments, was it?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
हाँ जी, तो मैं फिर वहाँ आके आपसे मिला, and then you gave me my big break in the world of voicing. So incredibly grateful. I will always be incredibly grateful for that.
Thank you so much.
In fact, मैं ये जो आपको अभी एक फ्रेम दिखाने वाला हूँ, ये ऊपर, if you can see this, can you see that winged creature at the back?
Yeah.
That's an action figure of my most
Falcon.
treasured character, the Falcon. So 10 saal, to be that, and to start from a small little voice test and then here we are talking to you. So
Yeah.
after that rather long pre-context, thank you so much for being here.
You're most welcome, Anuj. Thank you for having me.
Voicing as a career. Now, this podcast is geared towards understanding and learning communication styles from people from all walks of life. You don't have to necessarily be an artist, you could be anyone in the business of communication. अब वॉइसिंग का जादू ये है कि यू आर कम्युनिकेटिंग नॉट डायरेक्टली टू एन ऑडियंस, यू आर कम्युनिकेटिंग थ्रू अ प्लेटफॉर्म, थ्रू अ वीडियो, थ्रू रेडियो, through various platforms, and they are listening to what you have recorded with a certain intent, with a certain emotion. Explain this magic to me. How do you reach out to an audience much before they have, they even know you exist?
I think first and foremost, and perhaps what is most important in the world of voicing is believability. You have to make yourself extremely believable. So you have to be very true to what you're doing in terms of the way you portray a character, the way you narrate something. How honestly are you saying it? How much do you believe in what you're saying? That kind of thing. So I think that is the first thing that will help you break through is the believability. Second is perhaps the simplicity of the communication in any field, and this I'm trying to go with your thought of cutting across any kind of business and any kind of communication. So believability, simplicity, and clarity. I would say clarity of thought, clarity of speech.
which are the basic tenets of effective communication. To
Absolutely.
have that conviction in what you're talking about,
Yes.
to be simple in your messaging. कई लोग सोचते हैं कि बड़े बड़े वर्ड्स यूज कर लें तो इंसान समझेगा we are good communicators, but it's just in the simple words that make it relatable to the
Yeah.
audience. So
Yeah.
so wonderful. Okay, so tell me now, the voice is a very, very important part of your identity, anyone's identity, and it's something we
Absolutely.
take for granted so much. What is it like to psychologically have to immerse yourself into different types of voices? And how did you evolve your voicing style through this, your communication style?
I think in my case, because it started off as a hobby, it didn't really, it wasn't something I was working towards very actively. So I think a lot of it was just happened very subconsciously. And I guess I just took things as they came. I started off doing radio spots, then I did characters in ad films, then I started doing voiceovers in ad films. I did narration, I did animation characters. I was basically having fun doing anything that came my way,
Hmm.
and just immersing myself in it and trying to be that person, trying to sound right or trying to speak the right way, whatever that particular job required.
Hmm.
And I think somewhere along the way, a style just emerged. And it was very subconscious. I mean, I think it also emerged from because of the leading actresses who I started dubbing for in feature films mainly. That style emerged, where initially it was, all the films, it was the lead actress always had to be the bubbly cutesy young girl.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. Then it graduated to more seductive kind of roles, or very sweet, very innocent kind of roles, sometimes very straight, very very straightforward and very bold kind of roles. So having played the gamut, after a point, you feel like, okay, I'm really enjoying exploring all these facets to my personality, that
Ah.
I'm able to. Yeah. And Anuj, it's not like we have it from day one. So for example, if I was dubbing for Angelina Jolie in Tomb Raider, then I was told that, you're not sounding ballsy enough
Hmm.
to do this. You're not sounding like a tough woman. You're sounding like one chui mui.
Hmm.
Come on, man up a little bit. Grow up and start sounding tough, like, you mean business.
So how do you do that? How do you suddenly switch over to sounding tough?
So you have to really work at it. Like I also, when as a young girl, I had a very, very high pitched shrill voice, very squeaky little voice. So I had to really work on getting bass, trying to learn how to bring down my pitch, trying to learn how to speak a little more husky and make it a little more gentle, the way I speak. So I'm not sounding like that all the time, and no, it's not getting irritating after a point listening to me, and it's not really nasal and high pitch, and something that can get tiring after a point to listen to.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
think as you go and as you hear more of your voice, you start figuring out the distinction, the
Yeah.
minor points that can kind of refine your voice a little bit and make you sound better. And I think this only comes with practice and with experience and with kind of that realization of how my voice actually sounds, because I think many of us don't have that realization of how the voice actually sounds,
Right.
because what we hear of ourselves when we're speaking is very different from what we hear of ourselves on the microphone.
Right.
So to be able to bridge that gap and
Hmm.
to be able to translate what we want to hear into action from inside, from within, is really where the skill lies.
Wow. Correct me if I'm wrong. I read about this somewhere that when we listen to our own voice, when जब मैं आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ, मैं अपनी खुद की आवाज सुन रहा हूँ, that voice is coming to me from the chamber of my skull, my cranium.
Hmm.
There is a, so my voice is bouncier. There's a lot more body to it because I'm listening to it under say. There's a whole more almost 3D effect to it. But the moment I listen to that same voice coming from a speaker in front of me, the body and the depth reduces. And that's where a lot of people don't understand that why, when their voice is played back to them, they don't like it as much because suddenly that resonance is missing. I read this somewhere, and I think you might be somebody who could give me a professional opinion on.
I don't know if I fully agree with that.
Okay.
Or maybe I've never really thought of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
The way I like to think of it is the fact that when we're speaking, we're
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily listening to ourselves,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
So,
Yes.
and what you're hearing is from a very different perspective.
Hmm.
You're hearing it
Hmm.
from within,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And but when you hear that same sound externally, the
Right.
perspective is different,
Hmm.
and therefore you're hearing it differently.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know, and there are many facets to our voice, to our personality, that we're actually unaware of.
True.
Until you hear it externally, it's almost like an out of body experience. And until you hear it externally, you don't really realize that that's what you speak like and that's what you sound like. Do I really talk like that? I've had that from so many of my students. You know, do I really speak like that? Is that how I sound? Ew. Or some people were like, ooh, I sound good. So it doesn't feel like it's you, it feels like a voice.
A voice, exactly. So does effective communication lie, one of the starting points of effective communication, does it lie in acceptance of who you are, identification and acceptance of who you are? Because we're often trying to emulate certain markers that we think is good communication, a deeper voice, a louder voice, whereas every voice has its own distinct personality, and the more you accept it, the more you're able to improve upon it.
Yes, I agree that to begin with, you have to accept.
Hmm.
But one thing I always tell everybody is you have to embrace your strengths,
Hmm.
play off your strengths,
Hmm.
and work on your weaknesses. And that's how the refinement process works.
Right.
You know,
Right.
keep refining something or the other, keep working on something or the other, keep
Hmm.
exploring something or the other.
Hmm.
Like I explored the depths of my voice, which I didn't think I had.
Hmm.
You know, one could explore accents, one could explore way of speaking, you know, like a stylization. Sometimes when you want to sound very, very laid back, or very, sometimes when you want to sound very like a lady of leisure, like very
Right. Right.
sophisticated or something, you want to drag your words, you want to speak slowly, you want to speak gently,
Hmm.
you know. So
Hmm.
these are the kind of styles one can look
Yeah.
at and one
Yeah.
can kind of work on,
Yeah.
and in terms of, you know, how you want to play to the gallery, basically, you know.
When I was watching you do these variations just now, I
Yeah,
couldn't help but notice that there is a large part of the voice that comes from the body itself.
absolutely, there isn't one without the other.
Yeah, the voice is the body.
It is a part of the same instrument.
Correct. Absolutely. So when, like for instance, when I'm doing my voice recordings here, even at home,
Yeah,
I'm emoting it with my body, and I hear my voice go up and down with my shoulders, with my arms, with my eyebrow.
you want to be that person, you want to embody that
Yeah.
in order to project it.
True.
You want to live it, you want to live that experience.
Yes.
You know, that's the magic of what we create, I think.
How does one work on this, even if you're not a voice artist? For instance, I'm talking, let's say there's a corporate team leader or a vice president who is on stage now, who has to get on stage and deliver a speech, and he
Hmm.
really needs to motivate his employees because it's not been a great year, but he can't just stand there and say, hey guys, buck up. you know he wants to really put, how does he work on his physicality to bring out that vocal tonality?
See, I think first of all, it's very important to be a good communicator, you know, and effective communication lies. One another thing I like to believe is that the onus of communication lies with the communicator.
Wonderfully said.
The onus of effective communication lies with the communicator, not with the person receiving the communication. If you heard it wrong, that's not your problem. It's my
Wonderfully said.
problem.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I like to think that, first of all, I have to be very clear who I want to be, what I want to portray, and what I want to communicate. And therefore, I think, I'm not an expert to really speak on the style that you're specifically mentioning.
Sure.
But I would think that first of all, to be loud and clear.
Hmm.
Again, we're coming back to the tenets.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Be
Yes.
loud and clear, be simple and effective, okay? And be extremely believable and honest and convincing.
Mm.
And if I want to come in and say, hey, Anuj, come on, let's have some fun today, I've got to look like I want to have fun today, not like I just want you to have fun today.
Then you're just delegating. Like, go have fun.
Correct, So I think first you have to, everything we're talking about, Anuj, I think it all ties in. You have to embody
Yeah.
what you feel, what you want to portray.
Mm.
And you could be the guy who's jumping around on stage, really building up the energy, really drawing in the crowd. Or you
Mm.
can be the person who's just calming everyone down and saying, you know what, we've had a bad year, but we're really good at what we do, and it's gonna get better.
Ah. Psychological, physical, and the voice will just follow.
Yes,
It'll
yes,
just follow.
yes,
Incredible.
yes. I think you have to, I would say, if I were in that situation, I would want to work myself up into how I want to feel and how I want to make people feel.
That's so. What I tell my students is this: that communication, effective communication, is all about how you are making the other person feel, not the words they're hearing, not the sentences you're saying, not the script you've written. How do they feel when they hear what you're saying? Do they feel charged up, motivated, inspired, sad, bored, put off, disconnected? So it just do a reverse analysis of that, and you'll be able to alter your own content, that way.
Yeah, and I think there are two aspects to this.
Mhm.
One is when the words are your own, and
Yes,
the other is when the words are not.
I was coming to that. That was exactly my next question. Because communication, yes, there is one thing that you are saying,
Such a
but if
big
someone else has written the
aspect
lines,
of communication. It's such a big aspect.
yes.
You can own the words. Like even if you had a speech written for you, for
Mhm.
example,
Mhm.
if you can kind of deliver it like your own, if you can kind of own the words, it will still be convincing.
Yeah.
But think about us when we have to speak words that we don't necessarily believe in,
Correct.
and yet we have to infuse that energy into them and make them light up with life
Mm-hmm.
and make them believable, make them magical. That I think is where the skill really comes in.
Wow.
For presenters, on stage presenters, on screen presenters, it's also the choice of words that matters.
Yes. Yes.
It's very much the choice of words that matters. How you express yourself matters tremendously,
Mm-hmm.
right? But for those of us who are mouthing other people's words, we have to figure the energy from elsewhere.
And to add another layer to it, when you are traveling between languages and cultural nuances,
Yeah.
matlab, that's a laugh line in the Telugu original of Pushpa. But the moment it comes into Hindi and the line that you have to write there, or into, I don't know, Bhojpuri or any other language, how do you maintain that essence in your delivery? What's the secret behind that?
I think you have to really focus on the moment
Hmm.
and the journey of your character, where they're coming from, where they're going. How am I going to take this character from point A to point B?
Hmm. Hmm.
How am I going to make this feeling work, or make this emotion work, or make these words work for the situation? How
Right.
that's what I call. I mean, it's some kind of a magic. I feel that infusing life into these words.
Wow.
where you have to kind of deliver it just right for it to fit into the situation beautifully and not stand
Hmm.
out like a sore thumb.
Ha, ha.
Like, oh, Mona Shetty has arrived. No, it
Hmm.
should be that character that has arrived and is doing their job well,
Right.
perfect, fitting in perfectly. So, in fact, as a voice actor, it's better if you go unnoticed.
Yeah. The job is to be invisible.
Yeah, because you're just fitting in so beautifully.
Because see, the message is king. Now here there is a writer who has written certain lines. Do you have the flexibility to alter a little bit based on how you are feeling about it, because you are being the character there?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So how does that dance go between what is written and what you're delivering? Because at the end of the day, when you're being the character, you have certain ideas of, no, there's something, because the writer is translating and trying to match the meter, match the lip movement,
Yeah.
but there's
I
something
prefer
with
to
the
go
artist.
I
Hmm.
prefer to go with my gut.
Hmm.
And I like to, if I don't like the sequence of the words or the syntax or the grammar or the choice of words,
Hmm.
I try it in two, three different ways that I would normally say something.
Hmm.
Unless the character demands a certain way of speaking, and we
Hmm.
can't ignore that.
Huh, of course, of course. Character, some nuances of their
Yeah.
physicality, or the way
Yeah.
they're saying that line. Right. Is there something called a good voice or a bad voice?
No, not at all. I think that's a huge misconception.
Hmm.
Yes, there are lovely voices.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
There are voices that pleasing, which are very pleasing at the moment you hear them.
Hmm.
Okay. There's no doubt about that. There's no denying that. There's no such thing as a bad voice. It's how you use it. It's
Hmm.
an instrument. How do you
Hmm.
use it? How well do you use it?
Yeah.
How effectively are you using it? Are you using it to its potential? Are you exploring its potential? That should be more the focus. It's not about having a bad voice.
I was at Brian Adams' concert the other day, and I was, in fact, the MC opening on stage for the
Wow.
concert. Yeah, yeah, got to do that. Got a picture with him backstage also. I'm so proud about. And 65 years old Brian Adams has been on stage for 45 years now, for over 40 years. He's been doing 100, 150 shows a year across the world, and with a very uncharacteristic voice that in an Indian music context, which people would largely go, ये तो सुरीला है नहीं, इसकी आवाज फटेबाज जैसी है. But it is the conviction with which he wrote his music, and he still performs. 2 घंटे का concert, the way he performed, and he hit the notes. It wasn't exactly your butter smooth voice, but the fact that he
You
loves
have to be
performing what he's doing.
you have to be there are certain, I don't want to really name on a public platform, but there are certain stars whose work I don't particularly enjoy.
Hmm.
Okay. I
Hmm.
don't enjoy either the genre of films they make or the kind of content they
Yeah.
create and stuff.
Yeah.
Certain superstars, okay.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're just so convincing because they are enjoying what they're doing.
Exactly.
Even if it's tomfoolery, even if it's ludicrous, absolutely what they're doing,
Hmm. Hmm.
they are enjoying it to the point where they're making it believable and plausible.
Correct. अभी इनफैक्ट जो डॉक्यू सीरीज एक आई थी ऑन जावेद अख्तर एंड सलीम जावेद पे.
Angry young men.
Yeah, so Angry Young Men. So Javed Akhtar Saab spoke about how he would sit in a 5-star hotel suite and write a scene, and that would go through several layers of filmmaking until that finished scene would reach a single screen theater in a small village in India. And he says, if I don't feel the impact of the lines that I'm writing, that person sitting in that theater will not be able to feel it, even though it's gone through so many layers of.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That said, like we discussed earlier, अभी कुछ कर लो, post में देख लेंगे.
Yeah, that used to be very common in the days when dubbing was very popular for Hindi originals, Hindi feature films,
Hmm.
or even Tamil, Telugu feature films. I think it still exists, where people feel that, oh, it doesn't matter how you performed or how you spoke in the during the shoot, we'll fix it in the dub.
Hmm.
Now, while I agree that there is that option and there is that opportunity, not everything can be fixed. If you didn't act well, I don't think we can fix it to begin with. Right? So yeah, I think we have to go a little easy with that line. Take it
I,
easy. Don't get excited.
I was doing an event in London when the local event team there, the sound engineer, he was talking to us on stage, and he was talking about a particular star there who was just refusing to do a sound check because he said, "I'm going to sound good anyway."
Oh,
And he said four words that have just stayed with me. That sound engineer. He said, "Shit in, shit out."
absolutely.
That's it. आई मीन आप जितनी भी सड़ी सब्जी ले आओ, आप उसको बॉईल कर करके पका के कोई एक मिशेलिन स्टार डिश नहीं बना सकते.
Yeah, yeah. So you know, like they say, if you have an unpolished diamond, you can polish it and you can buff it
Hmm.
up and you can make
Hmm.
it look magical and beautiful.
Hmm.
But if you had a rough stone to begin with,
True.
and which had no value,
Yeah. Yeah.
then I don't know what you're going to really achieve. You can really try very hard and work
Hmm.
at it and work at it and work
Hmm.
at it and get some kind of shape, give it some kind of
Hmm.
shape. But I don't know if you can really make it shine. That takes a tremendous amount of talent and magic.
So polishing in post is one thing, of course, that we've discussed. Now, how do you polish yourself as an artist, as a communicator? Because again, another thing that I tell my students is effective communication begins with the homework that you're doing, not just before an event or before a recording. It's something that you're doing on a daily basis, as a way of life. How important is that, or what are the skills and techniques that you brush up on all the time?
So I see, again, I will come back to the fact that I've never approached this as a profession I want to get into.
Hmm?
I've always seen this from the lens that I love reading aloud, I love
Hmm.
speaking, I
Hmm.
love performing. So, first of all, that love has to be there,
Right.
where you're just loving what you're doing and you want to do it.
Yeah.
I, I never tire of doing it. You put me in front of a mic, I'm just never going to get tired. There was a
Hmm.
film where I was dubbing for an actress with a double role.
Hmm.
And I remember it was a censor copy. They needed to get it out the next day. It was a double role. The lady was speaking from start to finish in the film. I dubbed 18 hours straight standing
Boy.
with no break. 18 hours straight standing. And I didn't feel it. I was just loving it. I was just, give me more, hungering for more. For the opportunity to perform, the
Yeah.
opportunity to speak dialogue,
Yeah.
to say silly things, melodramatic things. It's so fun. I mean, the entertainment I get out of it
Yeah.
is probably as valuable as what the recipient gets out of it.
Yeah.
And so you have to really, first of all, love it. I think the love for language is paramount.
Hmm.
Okay. You
Hmm.
have to love language. You have to love what I call making magic with words.
Ah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to want to really craft those words so beautifully that they mean something.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you have to just, I think, just do it more and more and get very comfortable with the way you speak, or get comfortable with being able to adapt your style.
Yeah.
I personally am not a great one who can really adapt my style. I think I'm in that sense, I'm a bit monotonous in my style. But there are those who like to vary their style, or who
Yeah.
can put on accents, who can put on voices, who can put on different characterizations very effortlessly.
Hmm.
I can do it to an extent when I'm copying a character from one language to another.
Right.
But for the most part, if I were doing an original work, I'd probably be myself.
Hmm. Hmm. So to understand those limitations
Yes.
of personality, it could be
Yes.
of your skill set. And that
Skills and
understanding
your
is also very important.
ambitions also play a big part, right?
True.
Like I, for one, can't do mimicry.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Even if I tried, I'm unable to do it. So very often, because I've dubbed for so many actresses, people say, "Oh, we need to do so and so's voice. Can you match it?" And I have to say, I'm sorry, but that's not what I do. I don't do mimicry, and I do not match voices,
Mm, mm,
and that is not a skill that I have. So if that's what you're expecting, that's not going to happen. Yes, trying to match a performance, yes, that is what I love to do, and
mm.
that is what you can call me for. But I will sound like myself ultimately. I can't necessarily sound like the other person.
You spoke about love for language, and it is a concern I share. We are increasingly losing pronunciation, enunciation,
Absolutely.
diction. हम नुक्ते भूल जा रहे हैं. हम बार बार. I cringe when every single time I hear a fir instead of a pir in songs, in dialogue. I understand that the anglicization of culture is very deep rooted now, but how do you hold on, or train your students or budding artists to really fine tune their language?
So I do encourage them to listen to experts a lot,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
because you have to, like, if there are people who want to refine their English and want to sound either British or American or be
Hmm.
learn those accents, then I tell them, watch Discovery or Travel and Living or BBC
Hmm.
World, or
Hmm.
watch some of these shows where the language is spoken very effortlessly.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
used very effortlessly. Then you'll know what are the stress points. How is the language used?
Right.
How is it used to effect?
Right.
How is it used to punctuate? How is it used to highlight something, you know, or underline something, or gently push something your way, you know? So learn how to wield the language first.
Wield the language. Beautiful. Love that phrase. Hmm.
Yeah. So, it's a tool, it's an instrument. Learn how to wield it, learn how to, work with it.
Hmm.
That is very, very important, is to constantly listen to someone, to constantly, I don't shy away even today, after many, many, in fact, perhaps after so many years of voicing, I'm thoroughly confused because somebody will say altitude, somebody will say altitude.
Huh.
Somebody will say, say tomatoes, somebody will say
Hmm.
tomatoes. So, I don't shy away from looking up a dictionary,
Yeah.
and we shouldn't. We
The
shouldn't.
confusion also stems from the fact that we have a British influenced education system and an
The whole thing,
Americanized social media internet system completely. So we're caught between two accents. We're
yes,
saying
between
tomatoes
two, between
and
two
schedules.
cultures.
So बहुत mix हो जाता है उसके उसके then there's added layer of our own mother tongue influence to it. So when kids come to you in their mid 20s or their mid 30s and they say that we want to become voice actors and we want to learn how to do it, and sound and vision, of course, आप training sessions आपके बहुत होते हैं, तो I'm sure you've seen a mix of these.
Yeah.
एक तो English बहुत mixed है, इन accents के बीच में अच्छी भी है, but there is a slight mother tongue influence, the MTI जो कहते हैं. How do you overcome that to sound neutral? There is no good or bad accents, there's no good or bad language influence. It is your identity, but to sound neutral in your delivery.
First of all, I think it's very tough to recognize and accept it.
Hmm.
You may hear a certain accent in my voice, which I can't hear in
Hmm.
my voice, in the way I speak,
Right.
right?
Right.
And vice versa. So, we have to be able to, first of all, recognize it and accept it. That is a part of the battle one, recognition and acceptance.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
after that, I think you have to just work on it. It's practice.
Practice.
Practice. Nothing, 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 nothing. There's no shortcut. There's
Hmm.
no magic.
Hmm.
There's no easy way. It's all practice.
Because the tongue is a muscle at the end of the day, so you have to retrain the muscle. Yeah.
Yes, yes. In fact, when I was in my teens, I had braces. And when those braces came off, I suddenly developed very prominent lisp. And because there was such a large, when the braces come out, suddenly there's a lot more space in your mouth because there's this foreign material and
Mm,
these foreign
mm.
elements are gone, and there's this complete freedom and complete space in your mouth, and the air is just flowing around everywhere, and it's uncontrolled. You're not necessarily able to control it. And I had to work on losing that lisp, or not necessarily losing it, but also controlling it. And I went to a speech therapist and I did the speech therapy, and I'd go to recordings reading every hoarding as I'm going, as I'm traveling, reading them out loud, trying to hear for myself, can I hear it? Because the speech therapist also trained me to hear it. If you can't hear it, how will you correct it? So if you don't accept the problem that you have, you can't be in denial about these things.
That's the homework. You have to be a voice artist. You have to read. Be a voice artist for yourself, not just for a project that you're aiming to
You have
record
to
for.
speak out loud all the time.
Speak out loud. Dukanon ke naam, number plates,
Hmm.
and then you also have to battle the hilarious tragedy that the word lisp has an S in it. But but the jokes apart, I did not know that uh, having the lisp condition could occur after braces as well, because I've never worn any, so I wasn't aware of it. So that's something new I've learned today. I
Yeah.
always imagined it was a condition from the time you're an infant, and then you maybe develop that. Is that also a possibility?
No, I'm not sure if, I mean, we'd have to speak to a speech therapist about the
Mm, mm.
causes of it. But I think it's something that develops along the way because of the way you use
The
the
upper,
mouth.
lower palate, the teeth.
Yes, yes. The various parts of your mouth,
Yeah.
the way you use it.
Mm.
And in my case, I'm beginning to think that, you know, there's in my time there were metal braces. Now, of course, you have Invisalign and all these
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
things, very, very
Mm.
high tech things.
Mm.
But we had metal braces.
Yeah.
Sometimes they used to really hurt the insides of the
Yes.
lips and the
The upper
mouth.
lip. Yeah.
The gums would get really sore,
Mm.
they would bleed, or they'd really hurt. So sometimes I think you develop a way of speaking where your lip is not touching the metal.
Ah, you're avoiding it.
As a defense mechanism, you start
Wow.
changing the way you so maybe you'll do something that kind of with your mouth, that kind of, and then that distorts your visually, that distorts your the way of speaking, or even from an audio perspective it may distort your speech.
Yes. I never thought of it this way. This is so interesting. Thank you. Because again, you are training the muscles of your lips, of your mouth, and
You're
voice is not.
training the muscle to protect itself
Yes.
by moving away from the metal.
I can't even imagine the amount of work that you had to put in to overcome that and
I
to.
did, because initially I would get rejected for a lot of jobs because of the lisp. A, because I used to sound very young and childish
Ah,
for leading heroines, for leading ladies, and secondly because of my lisp. So I had to really work on my pitch, the timbre of my voice, and to sound a little more grown up and to sound a little more ladylike and less childlike. And also I had to work on my lisp and my pronunciation to make sure that the words were clear, nothing was distorting.
fantastic, fantastic. I can imagine stammering occurs largely from psychological impact, and children start stammering out of fear, out of psychological issues, personal, in school, whatever. But then they have to go get over that as well with speech therapy, and there's so
Yes.
many small little nuances of speech that occur because of these defense mechanisms, whether it's physical or psychological.
Right.
And What have been some examples, of course, without taking names, that you have um, encountered?
I think stammering is the big one. I know two very well known people who have really, two or three very well known people who have overcome stammering in a big way
Hmm.
to further their acting careers. I know singers stammer when they speak, but when they sing, there's nothing.
Yes. Does that have something to do with the fact that when you're singing, you're not making up the words as you go? So there is no communication lag between your brain and your tongue.
Mentally, you're in a different space,
Mentally on a different space. You're happier.
and there's a certain level of confidence there.
In fact, singers like Kumar Sanu, when he speaks, he has a very thick Bengali mother tongue influence.
Yeah,
But when he sings, uh, Papon, Papon is when he speaks, his English and Hindi has very strong Assamese influence. But when
right.
they sing, the words, the nuktas, the nuances of words, the intonations, they're just absolutely perfect.
Yeah. See,
Right.
because also that's something they have to work on, right? They know
Yes.
they can't afford to let it loose.
Yes. Yes.
They have to be very, very particular about their pronunciations
Hmm.
because they're also competing at a very high level. You know, the stakes are very high, they have a lot to lose. And I think it's important to always feel like that.
True.
That if I don't give it my best, nothing short of my best will do.
Wonderful. Now, running one of the country's top dubbing studios must have its own unique set of challenges. The spectrum of artists, projects, the cultural sensitivities that you have to take care of at every step. Tell me how you juggle through all of this on a daily basis. That sigh says it all.
Stay calm,
Yeah,
breathe.
yeah,
Don't let it get to you. Just deal with it as it comes. Take it as it comes. And have lots of talented people around you to help you through it all.
yeah,
Lots of passionate, talented, hardworking people around you to take it all on. And you
yeah.
know what a fantastic team I have.
Oh, they're
What a
incredible.
huge team I have
They're incredible.
across cities now,
Yes,
in Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Kochi, Mumbai, all
yes.
of it. And it's because of them, I think, that we are managing the way we are, because everyone's just falling into place, doing their job,
And
and staying
that
motivated.
ethos and the passion is maintained across the board. It's not just the voice artists, it is the producers, the
Yeah,
writers,
yeah.
the admin staff. Everyone is passionate about the world of voice and the magic that you create. Tell me about voice casting when you're casting for a project, bringing voices together to complement each other and do justice to the character. Uh, what kind of work does that entail?
Um, it needs you to be one very open-minded.
Mhm.
It needs you to be two, a good decision maker, and three, a good listener. Or maybe you should switch two and three around. You know, first of all, be very open minded. Secondly, be a very good listener. Third is be a very good decision maker.
Hmm.
Because very often we make very tough decisions.
Yes.
You know, because sometimes, two people are so close to being the right fit for a project, and you have to choose one over the other, and you have to have a very strong reason for choosing one over the other. It can't be oh, what the hell, let's just go with so and so.
Hmm.
It's not that, ever. So, you have to be very, very logical in your thinking. You have to be very true to what it is you want to achieve. Of course, I mean the artist's talent, how well they are matching that particular character. How good is the voice match? How good is the performance match? Sometimes
Right.
you have a good voice match, sometimes you have a good performance match. Not always you have both. Which one are you going to select?
Right.
See, if both match, then it's a no-brainer. The decision becomes easy. But sometimes when somebody's doing a great performance and somebody's voice matches perfectly, but the performance is not really there, You have to
Mm.
think, okay, am I going to work on the voice? Am I going to work on the performance? And you have to take your pick. And we do tend to be wrong. We
Right.
do tend to have differences of opinion. That's fine. I mean, if you and I think differently about a certain casting, I would say, okay, you call who you think will fit in. I'll call who I think will fit in. Let's try them all.
Mm.
And let's give everybody a fair chance and see how it works out.
Have you come across instances where an actor has done a good job on camera, but when they come to dub for their own character, they aren't
Everyone is able
able?
to reproduce
Yeah,
in a
closed
closed
studio
room.
environment.
Yeah, in a studio environment, which is far removed from the shooting environment and from the real,
Yeah.
situation.
Hmm.
Not everyone is able to emote and reproduce the same performance, or match the performance that they. Sometimes it's just a magical performance, very hard to match. And they're saying, you know what, I this was a spur of the moment thing. I don't think I can recreate it.
I've been the dubbing consultant for RRR for the Bahubali films as well, and especially in RRR when Junior NTR he's dubbed his own lines. The work that he's put in, because it's not his first language, it's not even his second language.
Very commendable.
Very commendable. The preparation, the he's and because he's also a classical dancer, he's a very trained dancer,
Oh,
so
wow.
his
Okay.
attention to that detail, to that cultural nuances is incredible, and the way he's put in work there to minimize the his Telugu language influence on Hindi. It's very commendable the way he's worked at. Now, I want to switch gears into a new buzzword that's also impacting the voice industry. Is AI a friend or a foe?
I know a lot of people are thinking of it as a foe and feeling that they're going to be out of work and it's going to affect us adversely. And I'm optimistic. I want to think that rather than think of ourselves as being disabled very soon, let's think of us being differently abled. Can be useful in different ways in guiding AI, in handling AI. Maybe you need a certain human expertise,
Hmm.
at least from what we see at the moment. So I think it would be, we have to think of reinventing ourselves and reimagining our purpose and the value we can add to something. We have to reimagine that. It could perhaps be a friend
Right.
in the future. Uh, we have to make it work to our advantage.
Well said. I was approached by an e-learning company to record some content modules for them, some learning modules, and they sent me samples of an AI tool that they experimented with. They fed in the scripts and they got it to record the learning modules, and they then tested it out with some of their people, and it just didn't cut across because they said there's the human element is missing. And we had a discussion, and I was telling them that it's not the words that are being spoken, it's the pauses in between the words. The silence is more human than the machine. And then of course I got the project, and I've been recording for the last few months. It's a massive project, but I do imagine that with ChatGPT speaking to us like a human does, very very closely. Now it's stammering at the right places, it's mumbling at the right places, almost human like, and I'm sure all this will develop. But I'm very curious to see how we use this tool to enhance our own human ability to voice better.
Yeah, I mean, I know of dubbing companies who are working on emotion capture.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow. Tell me about that. Tell me a little bit about that.
So I'm reading about these things.
Sure. Sure.
I can't say I've experienced them or worked on them.
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, there are definitely dubbing companies that are looking at automating the dubbing process entirely,
Wow.
where just one person can feed in a show and say, okay, I want this in Swahili or something. I
Hmm.
don't.
Hmm.
And and then that's what will come. The voices will be matched,
Yeah.
the language will change, the lip sync will be matched. What more
Wow.
could you ask for?
Exciting
But
challenges ahead. I guess we'll have to look for more
yes,
ways
it is.
to.
It's also way off at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't think it's developed to that level yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll be retired and gone by the time.
I'm sure you will be leading that revolution in a few years with
Oh
everything
my
you've
God.
done for the industry. But I guess more and more as technology evolves, we will just have to find more ways to be human and keep these connections alive.
I think many, many years ago, we thought that computers were going to replace us, and now we can't live without them.
Now we can't live without them. Exactly. Exactly.
So I'm hoping that AI will become our friend too.
Yeah. Like they say, as we go forward, workers who don't use AI will be replaced by workers who use AI. So
Correct.
it's just about adapting to it. And as voice artists, I think we know a lot about adaptability.
Oh yeah, totally, totally.
Thank you, Mona. Thank you for this. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. This
Oh
was
yes, I did absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Anuj. And with every conversation like this, I feel like we learn so much from each other.
absolutely all right. Thank you. Thank you.
Take care. See you. Bye.
I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I hope you did too. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions or more points that you'd like to see addressed, please drop them in the comments below and I will be happy to take them up with future guests who come onto my podcast. Like, share, subscribe, show the love, share it with the world, and I'll see you in the next episode of Speak with Anuj.